Why do they call me Cranky Cook? Well, it's because when things go bad, I get cranky. So, you can imagine, I like my food perfectly made. And today, we have a treat for you. We have an original recipe of Osso Bucco. That's veal shank from the old country, from Italy. And to fix it, to show us the steps, is Nonna. Nonna Rosa is here to show us the steps of how to make the perfect Osso Bucco veal shank. Without further ado, let's get things going. See you soon. So here we are in Nonna's kitchen. And here's Nonna. Here she's taking the veal shank out of the water. And as you can see, there's plenty of residue of blood left over from the water. She gives it a good draining. We're squeezing it with her hand, as you can see. Very important that you do this. This is the cleansing process. And making sure that as much blood as possible is actually drained from the veal. And then she just simply places it on a plate, ready for the pot. Here she's carefully placing the veal shank inside the pot. And as you can see, there's about, I'd say a good quarter inch of olive oil at the bottom of the pot. So here she's fit 4 veal shanks into one pot. Here she does exactly the same thing with the second pot. Again, just simply placing the veal shank inside the pot. It's not a very deep pot. It's not necessary. It's a shallow pot, flat bottom, which goes on top of the stove. And this is the stovetop recipe, by the way. It doesn't go in the oven, doesn't get fried. It simply just gets done on the stovetop. Here she's applying a couple of spices, obviously salt and black pepper. So that's the 2 things you'll need to start with. Here she applies some black pepper over the salt. Just spreads it evenly.
Poi si può mettere pure forte se vuoi, sai? Ma a volte non tutti vogliono forte.
She says you could also put hot peppers or hot pepper powder or a cayenne or something similar instead of the black pepper if you like it a little hotter. But not everyone likes it hot, so it's always something you can apply at the end before consuming. But right now we'll just stick to the basic salt and pepper. Now for another secret ingredient, she's applying basil or basil.
Giusto un odore, sa?
Just a little to give it a little bit of aroma, a little taste. Not too much.
E dopo ci va un tomate.
And then she's going to apply the tomato. As you can see, she's doing it very carefully because she knows I'm the cranky cook and I like things done right. So here you go. She's got her plate of sliced onions. Oh, and a chunk of garlic she throws in. Oh, a little secret touch there, eh? Okay, not sliced, if you notice. It's just a one big chunk of garlic.
Questa grande, perché si consuma, se no, e ti attacca sopra.
She said the onion has to be sliced large, thick, not really in small pieces, but rather in big slices, as you can see. So here, the next step is that we're going to open the stovetop, and it's going to be open at a relatively low temperature, and that's what we want. So maybe somewhere around the area of low to medium. Take the covers, and we cover it up, put it on the stove, and just leave it there until you have to. The other thing about Osso Bucco is you have to be patient and you have to watch it like a hawk. You can't just put it on the stove, put a certain temperature on it, and walk away and hope that it will be cooked. You have to be vigilant. You have to watch it all the time. So here's the trick. We're going to cover it up. We don't put the red sauce yet, the red tomato sauce. That's at the end. Once everything is made dissolved into a kind of sauce from the oil and the onions, because what we're going to do is create convection by putting the top on the pot, and this is going to keep the humidity in, and it's going to cook very, very slowly and make a nice beautiful sauce. And only then do we put in the tomato sauce. So I'll show you later on what I mean. As it progresses, we will keep a close eye on it. So we'll see you soon. So here we're 15 minutes and we're flipping it over for the first time. Nice color. There you go. And we're going to add a little bit of salt. Not too much, just a bit as we've turned it. And she does the same thing on the other, of course. There you go, just a little bit of salt. That does it. And of course, we put the lid back on, making sure that it's not completely sealed, but that there's a little bit of opening for the steam to go away. There you go. The Cranky cook will be back in just a minute. So the Cranky cook is back here, and as you can see, it's been about half an hour that this has been cooking. And when you see the blood coming up, guess what? It's time to give it another turn. So just take the fork and gently turn your shank over, like so. She's turning them over. They're starting to stick, so you don't want them to stick. So if they're sticking, it just means that the heat's just a little too high. So you want to diminish the heat a bit, as I've done, and you want to turn them over. So turn them over during the hour that it's cooking, I don't know, about 4 or 5 times. That just makes sure that the flavor is being evenly distributed, and everything is good. There you go. So everything's turned. We lowered the heat just a touch so that it wouldn't stick. So here we are. It's been about I don't know, about 40 minutes that we've been cooking, and look at the way it's cooking right now. This is exactly how you want it to cook. You don't want it any higher than this, and you don't want it any lower than this. So this is perfect in terms of cooking intensity. All right, here we are. So it's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes that it's been cooking. What we want to do here now is just go over here and increase the heat. Increase just a touch. Why do we want to do this? Because now we're going to add in some white wine. Here's Nona. She's going to add in the white wine. And we want to increase the heat so that the white wine doesn't linger there. It evaporates quickly. So here she is. She's waiting for the things to heat up a bit, which is exactly what's happening. And she's got her wine in hand, ready to attack. And there she goes, putting some white wine on it. Yeah. See, just enough. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 tablespoons of white wine is going in there. And as you can see, things are intensifying as the heat increases and the cooking gets higher. Put a little more, and she's putting the top back on and closing them completely. So why is she closing them completely? Just so that all the wine absorbs properly. There's Nona making sure that the shanks aren't sticking to the bottom. Perfect. Nothing is sticking there. So, oh, there you go. And very nice. Same thing here. She's going to check it out. And they're not sticking. That's very important. Before they were. Making sure that they're not. And it's almost ready for the tomato sauce. So a few more minutes and we'll be back with the fresh tomato paste. Actually, it's not sauce. It's not the cooked sauce, the typical sauce that you would put on spaghetti, but rather the mulched up tomato paste. Fresh, if possible.
Alright.
There she goes. It's going to be about half a jar in each pan. She just pours it over, and the other half in the other pan. There you go. Now she's just going to spread it out.
Ma diminuisci il fuoco, cazzo.
And now we got to bring the heat down. So let's bring it back down to where it was before, which is slightly below medium. So medium low, just to bring down the heat. Excellent. And if you were here to smell this, I don't think I'm being cranky anymore. There you go. Making sure everything is spread out. Nice. It's not sticking. That's always important. And what's going to happen here is probably put a little bit of water. Just going to take the jar of tomatoes that she poured into the stew and bring a little water from the tap, just regular tap water. And she's going to add it to the mixture. Slightly, just a bit of water, just so it doesn't go dry. There you see, one here, and a little more there. There you go. And the lids go back up. There you go.
That's it.
There you go. And that's all she wrote. So here we go. It's been 55 minutes now. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. That's basically what it looks like after 55 minutes. And it will be soon time to turn them over. And here comes the boss. Here comes Nona. She's coming to check to make sure if it's okay. Go ahead, Nona. Is this okay?
Ah, l'hai rivoltata. Yeah,
Okay. No, Uncle.
l'ho rivoltata ancora. Ah,
So she's saying we should
Okay,
turn it
così.
over after 55 minutes, and that's exactly what she's doing. As you can see,
così
she's
si
turning them
cuoce
over.
bello pomodoro, così.
Nice. So one more. There's still a lot of sauce there. We have to reduce that sauce a bit.
Questo devo consumare, capito? Ok, non fai pure.
No, stai pronto?
Perfetto.
There you go. Now I'm going to increase the heat just a bit more because I find there's too much sauce. We need to reduce the sauce a bit. You see, there's a lot of sauce
No,
there.
quello si consuma dopo.
And then a lot of sauce there. So we want to reduce that sauce just a little bit. Give it a little more substance, a little more flavor. So it's been about an hour now, and I've lowered the heat because I found it was going a little too high. So you got the secret here. You gotta keep adjusting the heat. You know, you can't let it boil, and you can't let it simmer too much. You gotta give it just the right amount so that it keeps cooking, yet doesn't overheat, doesn't stick, as you can see here. Beautiful. Nice sauce. So what I did was I lowered the heat and I opened up the lid a bit, just to give it some air, if you will, and made sure that everything is cooking nicely and slowly. And slowly is the operative word. As in any good cooking, when you cook, you should cook very slowly, very, very slowly. Bring out all the flavors, all the juices in your creation. And Osso Bucco in particular is no different. You need to cook it very, very slowly so that the meat gets cooked, the sauce gets built up, and the bone marrow. That's the delicacy about Osso Bucco, is the bone marrow in the middle of the bone, so that gets all the juices and cooks properly as well. So here you go. So you can see it's slowed down a bit, and that's just fine. So it's been going for about an hour and 15 minutes. I'd just like to show you how it's doing here. Look at this. Beautiful, eh? Now, basically it's done, but I'd like it to cook just a little longer. just to let that sauce thicken a bit more and the meat to get even a little more tender. As you can see, if I take the fork and put it in there, it goes right through. So generally speaking, it's cooked. You could serve it right now, or rather you couldn't serve it right now, but you could certainly stop cooking it right now, let it settle. But we're gonna let it cook for a little longer. So here we go, we're at an hour and 25 minutes. We've got about another 5 minutes of cooking time, and this is where we're at. So as you can see, the sauce has pretty much reduced. If you wanted to cook it longer, well, I don't think it's necessary. You would probably add in a bit of water just to get that sauce up. But this, in my esteem, is pretty much cooked. So here you go. Here's the other one. Nice. It's pretty much cooked. The sauce is nice and thick. The meat, if we stick our fork in, is very, very tender. Very tender. And everything is all good. So, folks, the Cranky Cook is about to shut things down. In my opinion, this is cooked. So I'm shutting everything down and just letting it run on the residual heat. And about 15 minutes of this residual heat, it'll keep cooking obviously, but we'll take off the lids and just let it rest. And it'll be ready to eat in half an hour. And I'll see you back at the table. So here it is. This is the final product after about an hour and a half of cooking and about 15 minutes just resting. As you can see, the sauce is nice and thick. The meat is thoroughly cooked and it looks just great. So the next step is, let's eat. This, my friends, is the final product. A beautiful Osso Bucco, veal shank, perfectly prepared, Nona's way. Even she's enjoying it. Say hello, Nona.
Hello. Buonissimo, guys.